voice makes me weak. All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know set me if it could flee. Me have to take away me say. Me have to take away me say. Me have to hide like a thief in the night. Me have to get out of sight. Me have to take away me say.
Greetings, kings and queens. Welcome to another Real Stuff podcast with Flavius and Franco. Today we have a very special guest, none other than Mr. G. James Palmer. Yes, he's a returning guest, and he will be here with us this morning to talk about telecommunication in Jamaica and the Caribbean. So sit and stay. Don't go nowhere. If you got to get your tea, your coffee, whatever beverage you have this time of the morning, make sure you go get it, or if you have to refill, go and get your refill. Want to bring in Flavius right away. Top of the morning, Flavius.
Morning, Franco. Morning, listeners. Morning, all. I hope you enjoyed the Garfuda conference yesterday. We were on all day with it, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic.
Okay.
How are things with you, Franco?
Things good so far. So far, so good. More rested, well rested than the day before, you know, so that good. I can give thanks for. I'm more rested, you know.
Yeah, I'm a little rested too. I have a lot of work today, but I'm feeling good. Feeling good.
Yeah, this morning.
Overcast sky, but I think the sun is peeping out.
Oh yeah, we have overcast. This morning I was up and ready, fired up and ready to go. So we know.
Oh yes.
Right now I'm fired up, so we're gonna see what the day progress, you know, as it progress, what happened. So I know that things is intensifying when it comes to the COVID, what you call it now, rate. It's climbing up in the island, especially in Jamaica.
Oh yeah.
Well, hope everything come down, you know, hope everything come down. We're gonna play a song this morning before we get into our Did You Know? So stick and stay, don't go nowhere.
This is your very own sports, music, and lifestyle talk with Flavius and Franco. Welcome.
Ba do ba do ba da de da ba ba do ba da do ba do ba da de. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. Black is my kin, I ain't apologizing. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. Black is a sin, I ain't apologizing. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. Black is my kin, I ain't apologizing. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. If black is the sin, I ain't apologizing. Captured us from our homeland, sold us into a foreign land. What woe, what pain, what misery. 400 years of slavery, shackles, scars, and degrading. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. If black is the sin, I ain't apologizing. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. Black is my kin, I ain't apologizing. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. If black is the sin, I ain't apologizing. Proudness of our heritage and history. Brand us like animals, they scorn us mentally. Used us for entertainment and debauchery. Destroying the family. Let's fight the demons of slavery. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. Black is my kin, I ain't apologizing. Color of my eyes, color of my skin. If black is the sin, I ain't apologizing.
Black Skin from Tarsha Williams. She will be our guest March 30th. So make sure you write that down on your calendar. Talented young lady out of Jamaica. So Flavius, what we have this morning when it comes to Did You Know? I know you've been...
Yeah, we are ready. We are ready for the Did You Know this morning again.
You are
so
the Did You Know expert.
Give us the beat.
Give it the beat. Oh yeah, I forgot. Give the beat. Easy, you know.
Walking on sand and holding your hand. Feel like a tourist in my own homeland. In my own homeland. Enjoying the bright, the warm sunlight. Oh my God, what a beautiful sight. In my own homeland. This place is so nice, wanna do everything twice. Yes, I feel as if I'm in the paradise. No matter.
Today's Did You Know by Flavius. Take it away, Flavius.
Good morning. Yesterday, if you remember, my co-host Franco asked me to continue with the ladies in our high achievers for the rest of the month. So very obediently, that's what we're going to do for the rest of the month. Celebrate our women in all kinds of high achievers. Yesterday we gave you one very high achiever, and today we'll give you another one in the sport of track and field. Did you know? Today we will continue with high achieving women in the sport of track and field. We give you Debbie Ferguson Mackenzie. Debbie Ferguson Mackenzie, born the 16th of January 1976, is a former Bahamian sprint athlete who specialized in the 100 and 200 meters. She participated in 5 Olympic Games. That's quite an achievement. Ferguson Mackenzie is assistant coach of track and field at the University of Kentucky. Previously, she was coach for 4 years at the University of Houston. In 1995, she was awarded the Austin Sealer Trophy for the most outstanding athlete of the 1995 Carifta Game. In total, she won 7 golds, 9 silver, and 2 bronze Carifta Game medals. She had her first major success with the Bahamian 4x100 meters relay team, winning gold at the Pan Am Games and World Championships in Athens in 1999. and taking another gold at the Athens 2000 Olympic Games. She won her first individual gold medal at the 2001 World Championships, having initially won silver. Gold medalist Marion Jones was later disqualified. The 2002 season was a career high for Ferguson McKenzie. She won her 5 gold medals with victories at the IAF World Cup and Grand Prix final, and a 100 meter, 200 meter, and relay gold at the 2002 Commonwealth Games. Her performance in the 100 meters remains a personal best, and her time in the 200 meters was a Commonwealth Games record and fastest by any athlete that year. She won her only individual Olympic medal 2004, taking bronze in the 200 meters. Injury kept her out of the 2005 season. She was the previous 200 national record holder at in Bahamas with a best of 22.19 seconds. Her record was broken by Shawnee Miller-Weaver, 22.05 seconds, at the 2016 Jamaica Grand Prix. Her 100 meter best of 10.91 is the second fastest time by a Bahamian after Chandra Stroop. Ferguson attended St. Andrew's School in Nassau, Bahamas, and graduated in 1994. She graduated from the University of Georgia, from where she launched her senior athletic career, since which she had gained medals at the Summer Olympics, IAF World Championships in athletics, Commonwealth Games, and Pan American Games. In 2002, she was appointed as an ambassador for the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. At the 2002 Commonwealth Games in Manchester, England, she set the championship record in the 100 meters and in the 4x100 meters relay with the Bahamian team, recording a personal best of 10.91 seconds in the individual event. Debbie competed at the 2009 Manchester City Games, winning the 150-meter final in 16.54 seconds. She followed that up with a win in the 200 meters at the meeting Mohammed VI in Rabat. In 2014, Ferguson McKenzie became the women's sprint and ergos coach for the track and field program at the University of Houston. And that is your Did You Know for today.
I feel as if I'm in a paradise. No matter the season, you've got every reason. This place is another little heaven. East or west, I couldn't care less. Ooh, this place, it is definitely best. My own homeland. North or south.
Did You Know is brought to you courtesy of Slowly Jamaica, uniquely Caribbean. So in case you didn't know, now you know.
Give yourself a treat, a few days or a week, and you will see just what I mean. Just take my advice, everyone is nice.
Flavius. You see this theme song? bad to the bone.
Well,
So this is one of the parts where I like listen.
Hi, this is Pam Hall, and I'm inviting you to hang out with Flavius and Franco on the Real Stuff podcast. They're such great company.
Wicked and wild, man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yes. So this young lady, Ferguson, Debbie Ferguson Mackenzie.
Yeah.
I never hear much about her. As I say, you know, I never follow up too much on the track and field. I was more, not too much on the individual levels. I was more like for the relay, you know, kind of love the Gibson relay and thing like that.
She's a relay specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So you're supposed to hear about her.
Never hear about her. Never hear much about her.
She's a downright superstar. There's no two ways about it. Yeah, man. She's one of the superstars of athletics. Mm-hmm. No question at all.
But it's good. It's good. Them, you know, they bring her back. Kentucky to to become the coach. You know, that's good.
Yeah, man.
A big achievement that too as well.
And she's one of the people like Veronica who started early.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see she won the Oscar Celia Award like Veronica won. And she won many medals in character. Mm-hmm. I know that in schoolboy, you know, under 20 age, under 17, under 20. So
that's like the character is like the Caribbean Olympics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The schools, yeah. And she really eat up that. I mean, she had that as a plating for herself. She just won, just like what Veronica did. Mm-hmm. You know. So she did not just come. She has been running very fast for a very long time, and she went to 5 Olympic Games. Yeah,
that's wonderful. Wonderful.
You know, the longevity. You know.
You know, since we have a little time before we bring in James, there's something I want to find out. You know, maybe you can shed some light on it because you're right there in Jamaica.
Okay.
Jamaica Football Federation. What's going on with them? Why you go select 11 players from out of the UK for represent Jamaica when we have a Premier League tournament going on with players who been training for years? Eventually make them club team. What happened? What happened to that? I don't understand it.
Well, in the first place, somewhere along the line, I can remember Captain Horace telling the players them that they weren't good enough. Mm-hmm. You know, they weren't good enough. But the bottom line is, at a point in time in Jamaica, the balance had shifted from players to coaches. In my time, when I went to school and when I used to play, I'm playing the first division, which is now the Premier League. You heard about players, and it was all about the players. The coaches were secondary. But now it's all about the coaches. And I think that is where the shift went.
Mm-hmm. A coach play the game, man.
The players are not put in the forefront. And then you have something in football is the development cycle of a player. And we miss that completely. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the reason we miss that completely is because we start high-level competition too early. So a coach gets a job to coach a prep school or a primary school. Mm-hmm. He's expected to win. So him do what him can to win. At that stage, you shouldn't be playing that level of competition. You should be the kids them have fun and let them develop their talent. All right, let me tell you, the biggest thing wrong with football in Jamaica right now and football in the whole world right now is that we are not allowing the football to come out of the players. We are pushing football into them.
I wouldn't go say the whole world, because some South America countries and some African countries are doing different. They're making the players develop. You know, let them play raw football, barefooted and things like that. So I wouldn't say the whole world.
Well, probably not the whole world, but most of it. We have taken this whole quote-unquote coaching to a disastrous level. You don't need to be you don't need to be having all these cones and these drills and all that at age 4 and 6 and up to 10 or whatever. You don't need to have that, because you are creating something that is not natural. You need to let the players like I said, let the football come out of them, because I strongly believe, and I know, because based on my experience and your experience and all that, players have football in them. But if you bottle it up and tell them that they must only make one touch and 2 touch and this at too young an age, because you fear that them can be dribbling too much or whatever, you're stifling their creativity and their development. So when they're on a football field and getting a problem, they don't know what to do. It's not natural now. Because like when I am playing, when I get a ball, I don't think about how I can beat a man.
Yeah, but when we attack, when we want Flavius.
If he needs to be beaten, I will beat him just out of, my body doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, but run from the way me ask you, me ask about JFF now. We don't want to go back way down in the development yet, because I receive an article, and in the article it stated that JFF and its present players association are having problems to agree over a salary agreement that JFF decide that.
Yeah.
The players they said they were going to give the players almost $7,000 US, and now it dropped to 2,000.
The players wanted 7,000 and them bring 2,000 to the table.
Yeah, but they said they signed off on it first. They signed off on it, but no, JFF, decides that them already selected.
Signed off up to last night. Up to last night news, a JFF representative is saying that the players came with a new offer or a new request, and they are very close now. It's more in tune to what JFF want to give them. But the players are saying if them can play, them need proper remuneration, which I agree with them. Because no matter what them give them, it's going to be far, far below most other countries. Because somebody was giving a thing yesterday on the news also about how much the US players they make.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of money compared to the Jamaicans.
Yeah, we even say US, like just the Panama.
No, there's the one they brought last night.
Mm-hmm.
And like them getting like $16,000 for a match and all these things for a winner, the winner, some serious money.
Panama get more than the Jamaican players. Panama team.
Everybody get more than Jamaican players.
And the thing, my problem with
is offering $2,000 compared to $16,000.
My problem with JFF is, why is it you go seek a band, may I go say a band of UK players to come represent Jamaica? Even players who the English FA don't even consider eligible for represent England because that player is over 30. Even though him scoring goals in the Premier League, them not paying him no mind.
I can answer that very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have no vision and they don't understand about development. Because, I mean, you have to, history teaches everything, you know. The first thing you have to look at when you say, okay, there's some good players in the UK and would like them to play for Jamaica. You have to look on this thing. How will that benefit Jamaica? That's the question you have to answer. Will that help football in Jamaica? If you cannot answer yes to those questions, then you can't do it. Simple. We have seen in the past where we bring people, quite a lot of them, pay them a lot of money, pay them travel and all these things, and when they can't make the team or whatever, we never hear from them again. That cannot be good. I think if we decide to play football, we have to have the mission of becoming a football nation. And that means that we have to develop football in Jamaica. So even if we're going to lose every game, we'll play the Jamaicans here.
We're going to leave it right there, sir. And go get over this.
To develop.
Yeah, we're going to leave it right there, sir. And get with this. But it's something we have to go look at more deeply and, talk about. Get ready for Mr. James Palmer. Yes, the music you hear in the background is from Higher Ground music out of Portland, Jamaica. Man like Michael and Tony Bell and the crew over there. Big ups to you this morning. This morning we have a returning guest. I say returning guest because he was here with us a couple of weeks ago. None other than Mr. G. James Palmer, big in telecommunication in Jamaica and the Caribbean. Top of the morning, James. Welcome once again.
Morning to you, son. Morning to your listeners, wherever they are. And I hope everybody is keeping safe and taking care of the COVID-19. And I hope you'll all be stronger for it.
Okay. So you're doing, what's going on there this morning?
Well,
how is Jamaica weather?
Well, the weather, as I said earlier, we're having some slight drizzle here in I'm in the Red Hills area.
Okay.
And it's raining, and I just spoke to a farmer, co-worker, who called me from the Stone Hill area and told me that it's kind of raining up there. So we seem to be getting some rain on this side of the island. I don't know what's happening to the rest of the country. But I
Rain,
know
rain
internet
all
here,
over. That's
that's
good.
good.
Well, I have rain also. I'm on the rain also. The past
Oh,
three,
good.
4 days.
Oh, good. Good. You know,
Well,
Yep.
so the place was getting a bit dry, so we're glad for that.
well, we're gonna
Yeah.
dive in right into where we left off the last time. It's the
Not a
last time.
problem.
I got an early question for you. Somebody sent me this because they were listening to you
Yes.
on the last program, and
Okay.
when you mentioned part about the powers that be, I think I'd ask you a question about the Minister of Technology. Why is it, such and such about internet? And you said, boy, females are tired. Well, the
Yeah.
person sent me some questions ahead.
Okay.
And this is one, what he said. Why is it that he's referring to you now? He knows what is hindering the progress of better internet connection and is afraid to tell us. That's one of the questions.
Okay. Okay.
And this
You want me
person,
to answer that right now?
oh yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, I don't know that I'm afraid, to tell or in fact that I did not, in fact, say what it was. One of the problems we have here with internet is poor, and I think I had pointed that out in the earlier discussion. And by the source, I mean internet is not just something that comes through the air. Internet has to be fed here from an international location, and Florida, maybe Atlanta, maybe New York. Anyway, a pipe comes into Jamaica that supplies all the internet to Jamaica, and that pipe is controlled by one entity. That entity being Flow, and they have the license to bring the internet into Jamaica. So as we call it, to land it by fiber, undersea cable here into Jamaica. Now, the problem we have is the two things why internet is so difficult to get, and the two things that really, the overarching things is the cost that, is required to get adequate internet, and, the ready availability of it. And let me give you an example. I spent about 2.5 years in the Dominican Republic, and naturally, I got involved in the business there in the Dominican Republic. Well, when we set up a company there, all I had to do to get internet into my pipe, which I want to serve to my customers, all I had to do was go to an entity, and that entity, ironically, was called Columbus Communication. Now, anybody who know about Jamaica, you understand that Flow came out of Columbus Communication.
Mm-hmm.
So Columbus Communication land internet all over the Caribbean and parts of Latin America.
Okay,
So they
okay.
run the undersea cable, fiber, which takes it into the country, and then they deploy it in the country. The difference with the Dominican Republic and here, let me state, is that, well, Flow, as we know them here in Jamaica, does not exist in the Dominican Republic. They are primarily there to supply the country with internet. In other words, call them Great Kennedy. They bring in the goods and other wholesalers buy from them and distribute to the people.
Okay.
In Jamaica, what has happened in Jamaica is that Flow, which came in as Columbus Communication, and they are the ones who were given the license to run fiber right throughout the country and to bring internet into the country. They have now morphed into cable and wireless, or cable and wireless has morphed into Flow. So they are both the supplier and distributor in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, Flow competes with anybody who is selling internet in Jamaica, because you have to buy the internet bandwidth from them, and then you have to resell it. Flow is a monopoly in that regard. They dictate the price. So what we pay for internet here in Jamaica, when I look at the commercials in America and you see people getting 300 megs and 1 gig and all that type of thing, that is just a mere dream for Jamaica. Because to give customers that kind of bandwidth, the cost would be so enormous to the carrier, to the provider, that it would make absolutely no sense for them. So that it comes back to the fact that we know what needs to be done. It needs to be deregulated or other players need to come into the market. So if we have three companies bringing in bandwidth into the country, then you could haggle about price. You could say, well, Flo, you want $10,000 a month, and I'm using that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
You could go to another company and say, well, what's the best price you can give me? And that's what will bring the price down. But when you have one supplier, then, you're at their mercy. And I don't know how their financials work. Maybe they're trying to recover their investment because it's a lot of money to do this. A lot. Rest assured, it takes a lot of money to bring that service here into Jamaica, and clearly they want to make back their money. One of the issues that I have with modern day telecom organizations is the speed at which they expect to make back their money. Nothing is amortized over 15 years or 20 years. They want to make it back in 1 year and 2 years. Hence, the high upfront charge. So no, I'm not. It's not that I don't know what it is, and I'm afraid to say. I'm not afraid to say. I'm saying the reason why internet is so scarce and expensive in Jamaica is because we only have one source for getting internet in Jamaica at this point in time.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question for the listeners.
Well, teach if you're listening.
And just to add, James.
Yes.
To carry on with that, this one provider or even the people that they sell to,
right,
are only trying to satisfy a small portion of the towns. It's like nobody else lives outside a town. If you don't live in a town, you can't even get the basic internet, not even the basic. So people like me, who don't live in a town,
yes,
we are dead. Dead.
Well, let me help you with that a little bit because, and here is where I see great opportunities. And for those in the diaspora who listen, this is the industry if they really wanted to invest in Jamaica that they really ought to be looking at. Here's the problem. In America, and let me use America again because everybody watches American TV and get their news and what have you from America. You have about 5 major telecom entities in America. You have the Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, a couple of them, about 5 of them. But if you look in America, there are literally hundreds of service providers. They don't call themselves Verizon, they don't call themselves Sprint, but they're connected to those people's network. So what you have, when you go into a rural area, you have what you call companies, they call them MVNOs, companies who buy the service, package from a Verizon or a Sprint or whatever the company name is, and then they resell it under their own brand in that community. So you'll see all kind of Xfinity, all kind of names you see popping up on your television advertising service. They're all tied back to one of the 4 or 5 large communication companies. And that works well. We don't have that situation here in Jamaica. We do not. So what should be happening, just to answer your question or to address your point, Flavius, what should have happened is that if Flow or Digicel doesn't want to go into rural Jamaica, what they ought to have done is to go to a smaller company like myself or any other guys who are in this business and say, listen, I will give you the service up to point X, and you will be charged to take it from that into the communities. In other words, we call it last mile. So they would drop a signal, say, in Anato Bay, and somebody will take that signal and send it over to you where you are, Flavius, and the other semi-rural communities outside of Anato Bay. But that's not happening. So what you have are a whole bunch of small guys desperately trying with no money, because that is one of the big problems here also. You can't walk into the bank with a business plan to deploy ISP in Jamaica and they give you any money. They're not going to give it to you because apart from the fact that they don't understand it, they're going to say, well, it's intangible, and no matter what kind of numbers you show them, they will tell you 15 reasons why they can't. They're not going to give you any money to start an internet company. While the internet company could be one of the most profitable ventures on the island right now, given what we have here right now. So The problem is that the big companies, they target the metropolitan areas where the population density is such and the demographics is such where the high earners and they flood those areas with service to the peril of the areas in the semi-rural and rural places, which is exactly what you're saying, Xavier. I'll tell you what, I was in Manchester as recently as last week, Saturday, and talking to some people there as we're looking at that area to offer some service. And let me tell you something. Once you get out of Mandeville proper, the nucleus, that center, town center, and go 2 miles, 2 miles out in the peripheral communities like the Green Vales and all that type of thing, you start seeing the problem. So inside a man, you can get whatever you want. If you step 2, 3 miles out of the town, you're in trouble. And that is generally how it is right across the length and breadth of Jamaica. So when a company, and I have to bring this back up, when a company like Carousel came out and decided that they were going to target the rural communities, that immediately sent up red flags to a number of people. And they had, in fact, started targeting the semi-rural communities with a plan to move into rural Jamaica. The big companies, I think it has to do with cost. The technology has changed. You know, everybody's talking about fiber optics, which is the ideal way to deliver service, but it's very expensive. And when you go into a community where there are, say, 45 homes, but you have to cover an area of 3 miles, a 3 mile radius, it becomes very, very it's expensive to run that fiber. If you're going to deliver fiber to everybody's home, it's going to be very expensive, and so it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And as far as copper goes, forget about that. You'll never see any more copper being deployed in Jamaica. Who don't have a telephone line in their house already will never get one by the traditional means. It will never happen again because neither of this, digital doesn't run cable copper. But Flow is not going to put any more copper out there for many reasons. It's limited in its capacity and it's really susceptible to theft. And it's one of the big problems they have where people go in and cut out 2 miles of copper and use it to sell on the black market, whatever they do with it. So they're not going to put any more copper out there. So if you don't get wireless technology or fiber, you're going to be out of the loop for a long, long time.
And that is one of the things. It's hard for say connect all household with fiber for now.
Yes, it's expensive.
Cost.
You know, if you don't understand how to make it. It's not like if they can go into a community. We call them in our marketing plan. We call them cluster communities.
Okay.
Where you find 200-300 homes in a small geographic space.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy. You run one fiber into the community and you can do that very easily. In fact, I think a number of them are doing that right now. But when you get into a community where the houses are sitting on 1 acre lots and 2 acres of land and you put one here and then you have to go quarter mile, it becomes a problem. So it's not going to happen.
So it's much easier than for a new housing development. That's the
absolutely.
Turn. Forget. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is exactly what is happening. In fact, as we speak, I'm dealing with 2 developers right now, and we're looking to put in their infrastructure for their for those homes. Because you know, if you do it when you're building, it's a lot easier. You can put in all the infrastructure and you get one connection from the road and everybody has service. But other than that, we're going to have to depend on the wireless technology.
So let me ask a question, because the last time I remember I asked, we talk about it. So it will be difficult for us. I'm going to use the term "eye in the sky" because that's a term that what do you call it now? That national security use. Eyes in the sky to like security cameras that's actually floating up in the skies. I don't know how they do it, or them have cameras on light poles, or they put them in lights, whatever. Will that be difficult to set up in Jamaica?
No. It's not difficult. It's not difficult on the main thoroughfare, and we're having a fair amount of that now. Although I still think that they're moving at a snail's pace, and we should have gone a lot farther with the implementation of CCTV cameras in public spaces. But the thing about the lights, all the traffic lights, and in Jamaica, well, I don't know if all, but I'd say nearly 90% of them are on a fiber network.
Okay.
That fiber was deployed by the National Work Agency, and so they have that fiber platform that all the traffic lights that you see in the corporate area and wherever, they're all connected by fiber.
Okay.
Or if they're not all, they're being connected by fiber. So it's very simple to deploy cameras on those at the traffic lights, at the intersections and what have you. When it gets into rural communities, I don't know. It's not going to be that much. It's going to have to depend on private entities and companies who would deploy cameras on their buildings to look at their perimeter, the surroundings.
Yeah.
That will help. And there's a program here, they can tie their system back into the national grid. So
Okay.
they can tie it back into the government system. So if there's an incident, they can hold it and look for the video footage and use it. Of course, you know, the quality of it depends on the quality cameras that these people deploy. But no, they have been doing that, and again, they have used it in a number of cases to find or to catch criminals. I don't believe it's been used half as much as it could be used, and I don't believe it has been deployed, you know, to the level where it ought to be. We really need to get thousands more of those cameras in the nooks and crannies in the hot spots where people are doing all kind of crazy things on the road.
So this brings me to my question also. So what is the possibility now for Jamaica to have good internet connection, and how long would you think that would take?
So all that is needed. There are a couple of things. They can be done two ways. The quantity, the amount of internet coming into Jamaica from overseas can be increased. And when you're using fiber gives you a whole lot of latitude as it relates to that. You can move a lot of information through fiber. And I know we have that connection. So we can, the supplier can bring in more internet and seek to reduce the price.
Okay.
The authorities may want to encourage, let me use that word, they may want to encourage another entity to get another fiber into Jamaica and to compete with what we have here. Because only then will you see the availability of bandwidth. And it's that bandwidth that is the lifeblood of the information age.
Yes.
If you don't have bandwidth, and I mean, I don't know if you have watched some of those the Zoom meetings, as you know, they've been having them because of the pandemic. And you see images pixelating, you see the images breaking up into little pieces, and the voice gets distorted. That's all because of low bandwidth.
Yeah.
Bandwidth is not infinite. You know, it's a finite amount of as I said in the earlier program, it's like a highway. It has 4 lanes, and when the 4 lanes are full, then the traffic is gonna slow down.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with bandwidth. So what we need are more highways. So we need more supply of bandwidth in the island, and so that, you know, a company like mine, I could go and I could buy 10 gigabits of bandwidth at a price that we could afford to resell it to our customers for a price that they can afford.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, 10 gigabits of bandwidth would be costing me somewhere in the order of maybe $150,000 a month. So now you just do the extrapolation and you see how expensive it would have to be to say I have 1,000 customers, and if I'm paying $150,000 a month for bandwidth. A month, you know, not a year, a month.
A month, yeah.
You go figure how much I'd have to sell 1 gigabit of bandwidth to that customer for.
That's a
And
lot.
that's where the problem comes in. That's the problem. It's a supply and demand. Right now in Jamaica, the demand is a lot higher than the supply will allow. And that's something that it doesn't matter what the ministers say until they address that problem. We're going to continue to hobble along in this industry.
So for someone in the business, what are some of the companies that you see would be a good provider for Jamaica that is in, North America, Europe, or where? What are some of those companies you think would be good enough to supply Jamaica?
Look, the industry is, first of all, we need to understand that this business is a very technical business. I remember having a discussion with one of my former employers, and when he told me what he was doing, I asked him whether or not he understood the complexity of the business and the competitiveness of the business in one hand, but the technical complexity of the business, because this is something that requires several layers of technical expertise. And there are many ways to go around it. But the fact of the matter is that I believe that there are local companies that would do very well to supply the service to Jamaica. One of the problems we have is that the companies with money in Jamaica, outside of the people in the business, the digital and the flow. But the other companies with money, the large entities like a Grace or one of those big companies, they don't seem to have an interest in this business at all.
Okay. Not affecting them.
Well, no, because they can buy what they want, and when they call the provider, when they call the service provider, the service provider will have to respond because they are large entities.
Yeah.
But when their customer down in Timbuktu want to order something online, they have a totally different experience because they don't have the availability of the service.
Sure.
And if they were looking at it, and I'm not particularly picking on Grace, I'm just saying all the big entities here, they talk around it, but they do nothing about it. Until you get another entity that lands internet service in Jamaica. And by internet service, I mean just the raw bandwidth that they can sell off to the local service providers. We're going to continue to hobble at the speed we're hobbling right now. And as the demand increases, as it is, people are going to get less and less service. Because, listen, I have a box here in my house. I have fiber. And I can't tell you how many times I'm trying to watch something or I'm trying to listen to something and that little ring keeps spinning and or it breaks in the middle. Only last night I was watching TV and all the programs started pixelated. Low bandwidth. And I have fiber. I have fiber because what happens? They put a certain amount of bandwidth on the fiber that serves X amount of people. And so when you get it, it goes great. And then so there were 10 of you and now there are 100. They do not increase the supply. And so 100 people are now using what 10 people were before using. And so you're getting less and less and less.
So I can imagine the traffic now, like how they have the remote schooling again. And people
but that's exactly what they didn't plan for. They didn't plan for it. And they brought in a couple of companies and said, we're going to let you use satellite technology and do all of that. Nothing has really worked. Because the root of the problem is in the supply side. That's where the problem is, in the supply side. Until you fix the supply line, you'll never be able to fix the problem. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
The supply line is the problem, yeah.
Supply line have to be fixed so the problem can solve.
Until they fix the supply line, until they make enough bandwidth available on the island at a price that it can be broken down and sold to the customer.
And affordable, and more affordable too as well.
The red band or down in Junction at an affordable price. An affordable price. Because, I look at the cost in again on the US channels and, $35 a month and $28 a month and all that type of thing. That's about what people are paying here in Jamaica for far less. Far less. And, and that's the crux of the matter.
Yes.
So until we can bring it down, that it's reasonable and everybody can access it. Because numbers create large demand, but that demand should allow you to reduce the price.
Yeah.
Not the other way around. So we have that problem.
So, I always think that, and I'm going to beat Digicel here for a moment. I always figure that Digicel can do way better than what they're doing right now. And if we replace Digicel and say bring in like a company like Comcast, just throw something out there, maybe the Caribbean on the whole would get a better, a better ride.
Well,
I might be wrong, I might be right,
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think Digital has some challenges. I mean, they did very well for the first 10 years. They did very well. But, at some point in time, they run into almost what you call inertia. So you see, they change up the system, and the people who were there in the beginning that grew the company rapidly are no longer there. A friend of mine took Digital from almost 0 to 100 in no time flat.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who was the then marketing manager, and he made Digital the household name it is, but he's no longer there. Because they changed the staff. Digital, like the other ones, I think most of their operations are being dictated from outside of Jamaica.
Yes, that's true.
You understand? A customer called me the other day and was swearing that he was going to get rid of his service because every time he calls to get something fixed, he had to talk to somebody with an Indian accent. I'm not going to get the Indian and the accent, but
them outsource the support system. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not Digicel alone. A lot of companies in the US have done it too. Yeah.
And it's actually the company that it wasn't Digicel, it was the other company. But what the customer was saying to me is that when I tell this guy about some place down Marston shop down there in the country, he doesn't have a clue what I'm talking about. He's 10,000 miles away from Jamaica, doesn't know what Jamaica looks like. So you can't, and Jamaica is a problem when it comes to addresses.
True.
It's the only country now where I know where somebody lives in Red Bank district. No street number, no lot number, no nothing. I remember my wife as a PR person interviewing somebody, and they told them that they live in some community out in St. Thomas. And she said, where exactly? And I said, well, when you come to, Seaport, I'm using the name, just ask anybody and they will tell you where I am. And she said, so you're telling me if there's a problem and I need to find you, I need to come drive to Seaport and ask somebody at a shop where to find you?
Well be known.
And that's yeah. So
popular in our
the point is that we have a problem with address in Jamaica. And once you come out of the carpet area and central Mandeville or Montego Bay, then they turn them into districts. In North America and in Canada, I know they have a thing they call rural route number this, rural route number that. We don't have anything. We have to. That is something that the government has to do. They have to get everybody with an address. You can't just live in a state and say, well, boy, I live out in Actonbedy, in Manchester. And where? How do I find you? Look for the big tree with a paper, Mr. Tim Shop. And so all of that needs to be addressed before we can talk about giving good service and knowing how to pool the resources and get it to the people. We have had to do a lot of groundwork to look where the people are. So when I go to Mandeville, I literally have to drive around into various communities inside and outside of Mandeville and literally count homes to get a sense as to how many people live in this area. Okay. And I use Google Earth, and I use whatever information is available to me from the Department of Statistics to get a sense as to how. But it may tell you that in a particular area there are 300 homes. What it doesn't tell you is how far apart those 300 homes are.
True.
You have to physically go there and make your assessment before you can figure out how to give these people service and where's the best place to put the access point and what have you. So it's a lot of work. It's complicated work. And again, the fact that Jamaica is a very hilly country, it doesn't work well for wireless technology. Because where there's a hill, there's no technology.
Let me ask you something, James, because would you say just what you think? Like say companies in the US, and I'm going to say Comcast again. would they have any
Okay.
interest in the Caribbean? It's like to say, you know, or you have to get the CARICOM community have to approach them and say, you know, we're having a problem in the Caribbean and we think you could be a good provider for us. Come in and,
You know,
do a geographic, assessment and
they,
tell us what.
I will tell you that back in the days, AT&T, in fact, did look at Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
AT&T did, in fact, purchase a license to operate here in Jamaica.
Okay.
And for reasons I'm not sure exactly why, but they eventually just gave up the license. They never bothered.
Mm.
No,
Because they were...
because they
Huh?
no, yes, at that same time they made a decision to pull out of the Caribbean completely.
Oh,
Because
so
they
they
were
did.
actually, yes, they were actually in St. Vincent, in Antigua, I think in Grenada, St. Lucia.
Yes.
They're all in all of these countries. I when I go down there, I used to talk to them. And
Okay.
all of a sudden, they just sold all of that to Digicel and left.
Badness.
Yeah. So,
I don't know
because
why. I don't know why.
Bad did you
I don't
sell
know why.
bad them up, man.
Sometimes it has to do with the scale of the project, and I'm doing. When you look at a company like AT&T or Verizon or Comcast or one of those big companies, the whole Caribbean region, the English-speaking Caribbean. Let me talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at them, because in Latin America they don't have the same problem because Claro dominates in Latin America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Claro dominates in all the Latin American countries, whether it's the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, the whole of that Latin American belt is dominated by Claro. So they are the virtual monopoly. Although in the Dominican Republic there are approximately 4 major carriers in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
Because we're talking about close to 12 million people. But when you look at a country like Jamaica with 3 million, roughly, although the take-up is so immense in Jamaica, Digicel is holding the lion's share, and the other company is holding a large chunk of it. So another company that comes in here would have to be offering something spectacular. Because, we are a sort of strange people. I mean, although we get beat up, it's like spousal abuse.
Yeah.
The man beating the woman, but the woman still free to leave.
Still not leave.
And so it's the same thing. Although they get beat up by the service providers, they really don't want to leave for whatever reason. So a company like a Comcast, they're going to look at their bottom line. They're going to look at how much they need to invest, what kind of headache and the regulations, and what they have to deal with the government and all that type of thing. And they have to figure it. They're going to look at the matrices and figure whether or not this makes sense for them. And how much more will it add to their bottom line? If it's going to add billions, then they will be invested. If it's going to add a couple of million, well, no, it's not that important.
Return on investment.
Right. The company them are going like some drug dealers.
Return on investment is not worth it.
It's not worth it for a large entity like that.
Them are going like some drug dealers. Them not deal with long term, what you call it, profit.
Exactly.
Them want money right now and this weekend.
Look, the costing, and of course now we have the other problem with a depreciating dollar in this country, because that also impacts on how you. So let me say that I'm paying the service provider $15,000 a month for my band, because I have a band, and the dollar, but I'm earning Jamaican dollars.
Yes.
When I sell my service to the Jamaicans, I'm not collecting US dollars. I'm collecting US dollars. So, in 6 months ago, at 140 to 1, I would be buying from my supplier. So I'd have my 15,000, and it would cost me a few months ago. It would cost me 2.1 million. 2.1 million Jamaican to buy 1 month supply of bandwidth for my customers. Today, that same $15,000 is gonna cost me 2.3 million.
Yeah.
So I've knocked on another 200,000 a month on my bill over the last 4 or 5 months. Now, you have a customer and you're locked into that customer for the year. You tell them you're charging them $2,500 a year for the internet. But your internet just went up. Your cost just went up. You can't pass it on to the customer. Or you can try, but you're going to get the customer is going to leave and go somewhere else where they think they can get it cheaper. So all of these things are negatively affecting how and what kind of service we deploy in this country. It's a series of things that are not in sync, they're not synchronized, which is causing this big disconnect. No pun intended. You know? So
But
it's hard.
this sounds like for this to ever work, the government must step in with some form of subsidy or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, they're saying, oh, they're using the Universal Access Fund, which is a large pool, and they're using it to give community internet. But you know what? It might have some merit, and I'm not going to kill them for it. But, you know, I was in Harvard some months ago, and they were making a big thing about the internet is available in Harvard in the park.
Mm-hmm.
And I deliberately stopped it and tried to log on to the system. Well, let me tell you something. After about 5 minutes trying to log on unsuccessfully, I just hit feet and walk away. Because we know that the type of service that they're putting out there is the basic minimum. And if you have an open internet out there where everybody can get on it, and you have a population center with 300,000 people passing through there, but the internet they can only serve 100 people. What do you think is going to happen?
Nobody gets served.
Nobody gets. And they keep saying, oh yeah, but we're putting the internet into rural communities and all that type of thing. Let me tell you something. They pick up a little pole and a little school somewhere, and if you next door, you might be able to pick up a couple of bits of information. But it's nothing you can sit down and do your work with, like we are doing right now.
Yeah,
so the private sector has to drive it, but the government must, at some point in time, step in and see where the bottleneck is. What's causing this problem? Why is it so expensive? Why does it cost 15,000 US to buy 1 gigabit of internet in Jamaica for the month?
But James, on
yes.
the news last night, what they were speaking about, in fact, they had a question in the question section. They're talking about your digital society.
What sort of society? I'm sorry, you broke up for a while there.
Digital.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, look, they love to talk about it. They love to talk about it. You know, let me tell you, when you get to our age, Flavius, when we have been around this business for as long as you and I have been, and we have heard all the sweet talk, all the terms and, the nice sounding terminologies that they have come up with. But at the end of the day, I just deal with results, Digital society what? Let me tell you something. You can't have a digital society when a household has to be buying mobile data. And they'll tell you, oh, we can give you a gig. We can give you a gig for $600 or for $200 or what have you. And if you ever make the mistake and download through YouTube, that 1 gig done in half an hour.
Tell me about it.
Something that I have experienced because I'm on the road.
James, I know that you and your I would put it now, your competitors them have come together many times.
Yes.
Maybe sit down with the government and even private sectors and say, let us look at this thing seriously. And if we want Jamaica to be better for the next 5-10 years, we have to put in a plan and start work on it from now. And one of the reasons why I'm saying this is because I remember last year during the election, campaign, the Prime Minister was saying that when after the election we're going to have good internet, high speed, and people will be able to work from home and do school as well based on the pandemic. And
Yeah.
I think it was in late down November or maybe December. The now Minister of Technology was in Parliament and he made a statement like him that say, Comcast is coming soon. We have another big competitor coming, another big carrier coming, and all our problem will be over. And
In
And
January,
I hope,
we still
and I
haven't
hope
seen
to recall
anything.
when I said in the last program,
Mm-hmm.
with all respect, and I mean that particular gentleman, I have a lot of respect for. I think he's a hard worker, and I believe in his heart of hearts, he would love to make it happen. But the variables are such that, first of all, you have to. It is my information that some licenses have been granted,
Mm-hmm.
but one has to understand that getting a license is just a small part of the equation to deploy service. The infrastructure cost is immensely expensive
Mm-hmm.
to put in the infrastructure. The licenses are expensive. When you have to buy spectrum from the Spectrum Management Authority, it's very expensive. And so the upfront cost to do it in a big way is it requires a whole lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's not it's not as the old people said, coupons.
And a
It's
two pound see a penny.
tens of millions of United States dollars is required to deploy a decent network. And who, if a man has the money, they have to be energetic like O'Brien was when he came here with Digicel. And he saw an opportunity and he swooped down and he jumped on it and he rode it like a stallion.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have that anymore. The market has now been opened up and there's competition. So a guy coming in here now to put on 100 million US, we'll have to look long and hard to see how he's going to recover that 100 million, given the prevailing atmosphere here in Jamaica. How is he going to coexist with the other carriers? How much of their business, because it has to be that he's going to take away some of their business.
Yeah.
How much of digital and flows customers can I take away? In order to make my thing strong enough to get out there. Or he'll have to say, well, I'm going to ignore them and concentrate purely on the rural communities. Because in the rural communities, I think you can pick up another maybe 400,000 or 500,000 or more customers easily in the rural communities. It's just a matter of how to do it. So, yes, I hear that other people are coming in, but coming in to do what? Coming in to do what? Are they going to do the same thing that Digicel and Flow is doing? Are they going to do something different? And if they're coming in to compete on the same platform as the two major carriers, I don't know how successful they're going to be. So I don't know. And all I said, I would not want the portfolio that the minister has, because believe me, it's a huge basket to carry water.
Wow,
It's a huge basket to carry water. And again, and I said it, I was sitting in a little spot in Mandeville last Saturday, and I didn't realize that the former minister from this administration of technology was there. And we were having a discussion about the same thing, because that's what we talk about everywhere we go. Yeah. And I said, on top of my voice, I said, well, I currently support a particular administration, and I don't give anybody my support without condition. In other words, I am not a diehard nothing. And I tell people that, I will follow you as long as I believe that you're taking me in the right direction. The day I believe you're carrying me wide, I gone. So call me disloyal, whatever you want to call me. That's me. I have no obligation to follow you into a precipice. I have no such. And so true, I will support a policy. I will support a methodology, but I will not support blindly. And again, I said that if only administration could have somebody with the kind of drive and insight as Philip Paulwell had, we might have moved this industry somewhat further along than where we are today.
Okay.
And this is not to say that Mr. Paulwell didn't have his challenges. He sure did. But I'm saying, in my view, I have not seen anyone remotely close to him as it relates to getting this thing up and running. That is my view, and I can say that because I was there.
Okay.
We were part of the reason why the whole monopoly was broken up. We were taken to court. We were harassed by the big boys, by the monopoly, when we came back into this country and tried to do our business. So we were the ones who lobbied and got to the point where they got up and said, no, we have to fix this. But we had that, it's almost like, Johan Blake.
But
he made a good run, and then we can't take it to the next level.
But remember in those days, one of the things that Paulwell did, he had very regular discussions with people in the industry and ordinary people at the same time. That was his strength. So he knew exactly what was required, because James and I used to talk to him on a regular basis. Along with a lot of people who are in the business and who understand what is definitely required.
Yeah.
And he spoke to all different kind of people. So he had his finger on the pulse.
Hey,
I'm not sure this is happening now.
Hey, James, I'm going to fling one at you. This is my one at you now. So like a place where Flavius at now. Flavius up in the hills.
I know where he is.
Yeah. So in order for Flavius to have like a good, say, internet service going on, what he need?
Years.
What does he need? I'm just looking at him as an individual. What would you set up for him? What would you set up for him?
He came to shoot me a signal.
What would you set up for him? Because he's around mountains and trees and all.
I know the area very well. I know the area very well. I've visited. Not only have I visited Lidley, where he is, but in a former company that I was involved with, he had a tower site that sits right on top of Flavius, up on the hill from Flavius, down on him.
Okay.
The entire community. So what is really required there is to get a wireless signal on top of that hill. Can you remind me the name of that place, Lidley?
Vinery.
It's Vinery. If we can get, and there are towers up there, if we can get a signal to Vinery is looking down on Nassau Bay and all the surrounding areas.
And it's also looking on the other side onto Buff Bay,
It's looking all the way out to Buff Bay, right?
Okay.
And it looks right across the sea, all the way across to Robbins Bay.
Yes.
So what is needed there? And I know, because I am pretty sure the other two carriers have towers up there. I don't understand why they're not supplying proper internet in that area.
Okay.
They're not.
So what is needed is access to Vinery, and we could put up a tower in Vinery, or we could go on somebody's tower there, and we could beam a signal down that would cover Enfield in its totality.
Okay.
And the fact that it's coming from above Enfield, just about anybody in Enfield could get service from that.
Okay. Sound good.
And it's something that we're looking at. It's just the logistics, and we have to make a couple of hops. We have to get a signal from Cooper's Hill over to Highgate, and from Highgate over there, or we might be able to get a signal directly from Cooper's Hill to Vine.
And James, and that could happen for a lot of regions as well, right?
It can have for all the regions in Jamaica. That's exactly the issue.
So, gentlemen, let's work on it, man. Let's work on it.
Well, it's something that I'm working on. I mean, as we speak, I have a map in front of me here because I've been doing some work for another area. And the map is looking at all these critical areas, the population, the collection of population, the population density in these areas, and where we can go and offer service where the service is close to non-existent. And where MTN is concerned, I'm very familiar with it because it's an area that I've been looking at since 2003.
Okay.
So I know the area, and I find it amazing that even today we are now 2021, and it's an area that we're asking for the service as far back as 2003, and they still don't get it.
Wow.
So that volume, and you can replicate that all over Jamaica. There are many, many, many areas like that. And again, I'm saying, any Jamaican in the diaspora who is listening that have some money that you want to invest, this is an area to look at. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. This is an area to look at because the returns can be fast and furious. But the upfront, you need money upfront to give this service. For example, for me to get a service out to where Ladley is, I suspect utilizing current infrastructure that is already there without having to put up a new tower.
Okay.
It would probably require something in the order of about $15,000 to $20,000 for the equipment.
Yeah.
So, and to get connected to the main grid to get bandwidth. So you understand what I mean. So we'd have to know that when you come into that area, you can pick up at least 300, 400, 500 customers. Or it really doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And, you can't be bleeding Reading.
Come on,
in all the areas.
diasporian. Come, diasporian.
So people...
Pull your money together and come.
That's what they need to do. And I've been writing about on my Facebook blog and what have you, until we learn that if we as Jamaicans do not invest in Jamaica, people like the digital people who came from Ireland, they will come and they will put some money in, but they will take out 10 times what they put in. And the same thing is happening with the other entities. So we have no major telecom entity in Jamaica today. The two major telecom entities are owned by foreigners. And so all the money that you send into people abroad, are from abroad, to buy credit and all that money is being funneled right back out of the country. It's not staying here.
And
it's not staying here.
James, and if investment like this should come into Jamaica from people in the diaspora, then you say you and your and the company that you work with could set up these things that other people that people in remote area like Flavius can get internet service.
Exactly. Other companies, there are a number of us out there in the field. I mean, I have my associate company is Jamaican Canadian, and he's tried, but again, he was hampered by not having enough money up front to do the way he wants to do it. So he's concentrated in a small part of Western Jamaica. And, he hobbles along, but he doesn't have the money to spread out so he could be all over the place. And that's what happens because it requires money. And the money is almost, in this atmosphere, it's a sure thing that you'll get a quick return on your investment. But the investment has to be made.
Yeah.
Has to be made. And traditional investment, you're not getting. You hear a lot of talk about, if you have a big, good idea, take it to us and all that type of thing. Listen, when the first time I put that idea out was about, Davis knows well about it, because he was the one who set up our website. It was about 13, 14 years ago. And the people who came in and sat with us and looked at the plan and was amazed and said, boy, they didn't have an idea that this could work that way. They went away and one of their colleagues did what we had planned to do.
It's still a plan, man.
Yeah. And, we watched them to replicate almost everything that we had in that business plan. And, Mike became right. He could not challenge them. We never had the money to challenge them in court. And so we had to just sit back and take our beating.
Yes.
And luckily not luckily, but that company is no longer here because, when you build a house on sandy ground, it's going to disappear.
Yes.
The company is no longer here. But the fact of the matter is that the need is great. The need is here, the need is now, and the need is great. And until Jamaicans in the diaspora, I'm going to say it one more time, recognize the importance, They may want to come back home at some point in time. And if you don't have the place, the infrastructure set up that you can get your creature comfort, everybody wants to be online. In fact, it's almost becoming mandatory now because there are a lot of government services that you cannot access unless you go online now.
That's true. That's true. That's
You're
true.
not able to apply for a passport or a driver's license or anything like that. You have to go online to do it. So it suits us, it behoves us as Jamaicans to put your money in the country. And let me tell you something. If you do that, you would have not only helped the economy along, but will make Jamaica, a more comfortable place for you. Even if you just want to come for 6 months or 3 months or even. But we have to. We have to stop depending on the foreigners to build our country for us. We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, and that's something I say that can work right now. Internet service and renewable energy as well.
Renewable energy.
Yeah.
Another huge industry. It's a begging. It's a begging. But one of the problems, and lately spoke it a little bit with the former minister, Minister Paul Welling. He reached out to a lot of us who were in the industry, and he listened to everybody. I think it's Desiderata who said, I think even the fool has a story to tell.
Yeah.
What we're having here now, we seem to be having a top-down administration. And I'm not poking blame at government because sometimes they work within the parameters of what they can work with it.
Yeah.
But we don't seem to have that situation. They talk about a lot of things that are happening. And my question is that when you constantly saying that this is there and this should be happening and it's not happening, you need to go back and look and find out why it's not happening. The same thing happens. They talk about loans are available for the small business and the medium-sized business, and it's available through this and that. And they can't figure out why millions of dollars are there and nobody seems to be taking it up.
True.
It's not that people don't want to take up, but the hoops that you have to jump through to get to it is so difficult that most people drop out after round 2. And so the money is there, but it's not getting to the people who need. And let me tell you something. If we don't understand that it's small businesses that run countries, and the same is true in America, Canada, United Kingdom, and it is in Jamaica. If you don't allow the small guys to get involved in the economic activities of the country and to help to grow the country, we will hobble along and we'll see this dollar go to 250 to 1.
And that would be really bad.
That's what's going to happen.
Really bad.
I don't know.
I don't even want it to go over the 150 mark.
Listen, let me tell you something. When I know, when I know it's over 50 already. A colleague of mine just told me that he bought paid I think 153 last year. And that's helping to drive. You can't talk about wealth and prosperity when it's costing more and more every day just to survive. And real income is not moving. Real income is not moving. When somebody takes home 30,000 for the month or 40,000 for the month, it can barely cover their transportation fee. So how are we going to get growth? An economy grows because the population has disposable income. It's the disposable income that they spend that helps to drive the building industry, the pan chicken man, everybody. That's how economies grow. Economies don't grow from the top down. It grows from the bottom up. And all we see here, we hear about all the big companies, the tourism this and the that and that, and they are the ones who get the break. Small people in the country get no break.
Nothing's for the small man, come easy.
If they tell you they're going to give you a break, they make it so difficult that it's nigh impossible.
They're going to break your back.
Break your back. So we have that. We have that. But again, only we can change that.
Yeah.
We need to, this forum is good. and I would hope that this is expanded.
But James,
And the reach goes out into diaspora.
uh,
But we need Jamaicans to understand
mhm,
that Comcast, they can't depend on Comcast to come and give them good service here. They need to enable a local entity to
mhm.
give them good service here. So that when the money is made, the money goes back into Jamaica and
True.
help with the development of the country.
Absolutely, absolutely,
We're not
absolutely.
developing because all the money, the banks, the insurance companies, the telecom companies, the medic, all of them, the money comes and the money leaves in large duffel bags.
So James, let me ask you this question before we leave. So for you as an executive in this business right now, and if
Yes,
we say, when I say we, I mean me, Flavius, and we find some serious Jamaican right now who
yes.
really want to put some dollars up and invest in telecommunications in Jamaica right now, we could come to you as the man, right?
Just come to me, and I'm just one person in this industry. There are other people.
Mm-hmm.
There's some guys, I mean, at this level, for what we call, we're talking about here now. We're talking about not mobile technology. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about fixed wireless technology,
Mm-hmm.
where you fix it in your house. It's in your house, and you have it all the time. You
Yes.
have it. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay every day to top up.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
pay for the month or you pay for the year, and you continue to use.
Yes, that's
Yes,
true. That's true.
I would. I would be. Like anything else, we have an expansive business plan with financials and everything because this is not something that you can do by just wishing and hoping. You have to,
Mm-hmm.
we have suppliers for equipment. We have all that information we have and are quite willing to talk to anybody who has an idea that this is something that they want to risk or put some money. And we have all kind of programs that we're looking at. In fact, as we speak, I'm talking to a number of people who have contacted me and want to know how they can help
Mm-hmm.
to get it out there. And granted, negotiations just started last week, but I'm working. And what I can promise Flavius that before the end of this 2021, I'm gonna keep it that it has internet in Enfield.
You hear that,
And
Flavius?
Yeah, I'm hearing.
No, no, he mentioned something earlier in the conversation, which is really good. I mean, based on the dollar amount that he said, could start off something like that, and then other regions could pick it up. And
exactly.
it's true. Because remember, you and
Well,
I talked about all the while Flavius, sir. And you said James have the idea, James can set up something like this, but it's to,
Yeah.
get it started.
we have we have we have not just the idea, we have the idea, we have the technical capability.
The
I have
knowledge, yeah.
surrounded the knowledge, and I've surrounded myself. I mean, the two key technical people around me came from the two major entities.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was responsible for the setting up of the fiber company when it came here.
Yeah,
So I have people who are technically able and agile who can make this thing happen in a matter of weeks.
true, true.
It's just to get the mechanics that we need in place and to get the service out. It's not rocket science. It requires money. That's all it is. It requires money.
Mm-hmm.
But we're working. And I just to say that it's the same medium that we're using now, so we can be talking to people all over the place.
Oh, yes, sir. And
And
it's
it
spreading.
goes to show how much better. And we have problems here in Jamaica. Of course we have problems. We have problems everywhere. But I would love to see people in rural Jamaica with the same access to this information age. Because we're moving to a space right now where information is king.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have the information, you're not going to be able to go forward. The suffering, the long suffering is going to continue. Before I wrap up, I remember when I went out to Old Harbor in 2017 on behalf of the Carousel Group.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we had a tent and we were talking to people. I remember a young lady came to me. Well, she went to one of my workers, and the workers brought her to me. And she said, listen to me. I left college and I couldn't get any work. But I found this company in the States that allowed me to work from home. And the biggest headache I'm having is what it's costing me to stay online. Because then she has to buy minutes, buying mobile minutes. And she said that I can't make any money because some days I can make maybe $50 or $100, but I'm spending back so much of it on buying credit that it's not making sense. If I could get something where I just pay one monthly bill and I'm on it all the while. And then she said, but where I live is a little bit remote and I don't know if your service will get there. Well, you know what? I said, show me where you are. And I took one of my workers, one of my technical guys, and we drove way into some area that I've never been before, up some hills and over some valleys. And we got to this place that I never knew existed.
Okay.
And you would almost want to say it's in the middle of nowhere, but it really wasn't. But where she was relatively remote. And I took one of my devices, at that time not knowing whether or not the thing would work. And I went inside the house and had a nice phone, went upstairs, plugged it in, and the thing has a total of 4 bars, and I got 3 bars on it.
Wow.
I could not believe my eyes, because I had no idea we had coverage here. And so we hooked her up. Well, she would not allow us to leave with the device. Then and there, she took her money out and paid for the device. There, she would not allow us to go back with it.
Wow.
We were saying, oh, okay, we'll come back tomorrow. And she said, no.
Tomorrow, you're not going to come back.
And we hooked her up. We hooked her up and she went online and she went on her WhatsApp and called her mother who's in the States and said, Mommy, guess what? I have internet now. I have real internet. I'm talking to you on it. And, you know, she became one of my very, very good customer and advocate. Because she sold for us to a lot of people in her community. Because of her, we picked up another maybe 15, maybe 25 customers in the area.
She was the living proof right there, man.
And the point, but the point I really want to make was that it wasn't for entertainment. It was her job.
Yeah.
And she said, no, you know, Mr. Palmer, what I can do? I can now get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know. I can log on and just do my work. I don't have to worry about this anymore. And let me tell you something. If we could get 1/10 of the young population who are sitting at home with nothing to do active in that area, you would be amazed at the kind of life they would have gotten.
They would build their own economy, man.
Exactly. Because that young lady told me that on a good week she'd make between $400 and $500 US a week. And you know, you may say $500 US a week is not money. Oh, it is money.
It is.
It is money. And in this community, that would be equivalent to approximately $75,000 a week. Okay? And you can do a lot more with $75,000 a week than you can do with $20,000 a week.
Yeah.
So you imagine through the length, and let me tell you something. This technology is not Flavius or mine or yours, you know. It's for the young people. They know how to manipulate it. They know how to use it. They know how to use it to monetize it to make money. They know how to do that. So all we need to do is to enable them. But how are we going to do that when we can't even connect them?
True, man. True. I've heard Flavius mention it many times that if Jamaica was wired up the way it, you know, other countries in North America and Europe wired up, you know, many people would have a job online that they could be doing from the comfort of their home. You know?
They'll be making money and having money to spend.
And that would be foreign exchange coming into the country as well.
Precisely.
You know?
I mean, the young lady, and I will go back to her quickly. Hold on, let me just tell you, that young lady, she was very proud, you know. She whipped out her MasterCard and showed me and said, this is how they pay me. They sent her a MasterCard and they put the money in her account and she just went to any ATM and just swipe and take her money out. And she was very proud with the MasterCard. There's a whole lot of things. So she was independent and proud. I think she might have been about 24, 25. Finished college and couldn't get any work. And she said to me, I don't need to look work anymore. I mean, I'm doing better than all my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
what else can I tell you?
let me tell you what is happening now in our situation. Two things is happening now. Frightening. We are underdeveloping at least half of Jamaica. Underdeveloped the
Yes.
youths in about
Yes.
half of Jamaica, and that's a large number. And the second
Youth.
thing, we are keeping ourselves in poverty. That's what we're
Yeah.
doing. We are keeping
Yeah.
ourselves in poverty because there's lots of money out there to be access to be made, but we can't because of the lack of the service. A simple service. People in North America and Europe and all over the world, they don't even think about it anymore. You know? It's a given,
No,
like waking up and breathing some fresh air. You don't think
no,
about it.
for them it's like having electricity in the house. It's just there. I mean,
Yes,
it's
you,
supposed to be there.
you, you turn it on and it's on, you turn it off, whatever. So it's not
Yes.
something that they think about. It is just a
They
normal
don't have.
part of a day's work of life.
Yeah.
Look, man.
And
Look, I'm
that's
telling you,
where we have to go.
at the risk of repeating myself, I'm telling you, some weeks ago, we did what we call a proof of concept in a little community up in East rural St. Catherine. A, a poor community. There were no big homes there. There were a few little homes, and a lot of the people live in, makeshift homes that they have put up together. So, but let me tell you something. We went in there and I thought, well, I was told that we're going to put up about 8 or 10 units to help some people in a little community. Well, let me tell you something. By the time we got into week 2, we had demand for almost 100. I don't know where they were coming from. People were just hearing that, boy, some people were putting up internet, and they were just coming. I see people calling me on the phone. I don't know who they are. So, oh, somebody gave me the number. And I want to know when you guys can come up and set it up because, boy, they stick to them, have to do the school work, and I'm tired to buy credit to them, and it's not work out. And that song can be sung right across the length and breadth of rural Jamaica.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, James. James,
yes.
From the program start, from the podcast start this morning, I could hear the passion and the frustration in your voice. And the more you talk, yeah, it just keep, hitting me. Because you are out there on a daily basis and you're seeing on the ground what can be done, what is needed.
And I know what is to be done. Not only do I know what can be done, but I know what has to be done. But it's just putting those pieces together to make it come together, which is the difficult part. But you know what? I'm an optimist, and I know it's going to work out. It might not work out, and as I said to a friend of mine yesterday, it might not happen in the timeline that we planned, but it's going to happen. And all I can do every day I get up, I do one more thing that's to get me closer to where I want to go. I have sourced equipment. I have spoken to manufacturers. I have done all of that. I know where to buy my equipment. I know the cost. I've done all of those. I've done all the paperwork, gotten all of that out of the way. And the first sign of some money, then we're going to start kicking. And so I'm not even concerned anymore as to whether or not it's going to be done. It is going to be done.
True. So with that, we can end on that note this morning. And we thank you very much.
Let me thank you, and let me thank Flavius for allowing me to vent, so to speak. And hopefully I would have given a little insight to at least one or two people, and also a little bit of encouragement, and let them know that all you Jamaicans living in the Tri-State and in Atlanta and in Toronto and places of that nature and down in Florida, Kingston 22 or Kingston 21.
Kingston 21.
There's much to be done in Jamaica. Yeah. There are opportunities in Jamaica. Jamaica is not going anywhere. It's up to you, as it is up to me, to make this happen. We can't depend on government for everything.
True, James. True. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, it's been great. And I mean, I'm always here. Well, Flavors knows that.
Oh yes.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Very much.
You're most welcome, sir. And enjoy the rest of the day.
You too, and be safe out there, James. Be safe.
I try my best. So thank you very much. And the same to you.
Yeah, man. One love. Yeah.
One love, boss. Yeah.
Yes, once again we come to another conclusion of another, what we call it, how could I say, well put together pod this morning with Mr. G. James Palmer. And I mean, the man have passion in his voice, and at the same time, you know, you can hear the frustration because him know this is something that can work. So for all you Jamaicans out there, here is an investment, and this one is good because this is something that is going to expand because the rural area of Jamaica, I mean, it need to develop in terms of internet setting up. And not only that, you have heard yourself how the man mentioned that this young lady who have her business and she need internet in order for her to make her money. And you know much people can start their own business at Jamaica online because a lot of companies in the US are outsourcing their support part of the company. And if it can go India, it can go Jamaica. You understand me?
Of course.
So we need to jump on this. I mean, this is an opportunity. This is like Bitcoin to me right now.
Yeah.
This is like Bitcoin. Yeah. So if you need more information on who James is, contact us at the Real Stuff Podcast, and we're willing to give you the information so you can, you know, talk to him personally. Okay? So with that, we come.
I personally have known and I've been working with James for over 40 years.
Okay, there you go. So that is a endorsement right there. Tomorrow we have in the kitchen with us, Chef Sinclair will be here in the kitchen with us tomorrow, and Dan out of London will be giving us updates on what is happening in England in terms of football and the COVID. They've been blowing up my phone from yesterday and this morning with all of what's happening. So he's going to pour it out tomorrow. And on Friday we have I Pharrell. That's the veteran, the musician, what we call it, the artist, the big time poet. He will be our guest poet in the Poetry Corner on Friday.
Yeah, out of Barbados. Yes.
Yep. So make sure you have that marked down on your calendar and be prepared. And for those of you who are celebrating birthdays today, happy birthday to you. Those of you who are celebrating birthday in the month of March, happy birthday when it comes. And if it come and gone, same thing, happy birthday. So with that, we're gonna shake out a year because Flavors have to go somewhere and I have to go get some food too as well.
Yeah.
So we ask you to take care of yourself, right? Your loved ones, and always remember prayer changes things. regardless of what religion you belong to. You must pray and continue to pray. And when I pray now, I call upon the ancestors, because we need them in the midst. There's some videos available on our channel from the women's conference, the Garifuna Women's Conference that was held the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. And we have 2 days a video up there with some interesting topics and discussions. And you need to check them out. So check them out. I'm going to send you the link too, because I'm going to drop it to all of my WhatsApp contacts, so you can go check it out and see what I'm talking about. All the indigenous people are united, and you need to check it out to find out what it means. You understand me? So I'm going to ask Queen Lubafu and Tafina to take us out.
You lead us so full. You belong far away away. Ajugwala lebobu seru. Lida mua, lida sungfula. Lida mua, lida sungfula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
Tafina to take us out.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know send me if it could flee. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi hide like a thief in the night. Me I fi get out of sight. Me I fi take away myself. I fi take away myself. I have to utilize I wings. Shorty I leave her eyes. I said, yeah. I find you very hard to resist. With this relationship I'm gonna desist. But how can I face you when all I wanna do is just taste you? I know you think I'm
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
Just relax, don't move an inch. I'll be gone in a pinch. May I feel take away myself. May I feel take away myself. May I feel hide like a thief in the night. May I forget all outside. May I feel take away myself. Take away myself. I have to utilize I wings. Shorty, I a clean berries. I say, yeah.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.